A scathing review into Radio New Zealand has been carried out by former news boss Richard Sutherland. In his conversations with staff, he found blame shifting, low ambition, and that some people just shouldn't be on air. So where to now for the public broadcaster? Shayne Currie is the Herald's editor-at-large and media insider at the desk this morning. Shayne, good morning.
Morning, Ryan.
Again, you got the scoop. What have you learnt from this?
Yeah, it was a scoop in the sense that I'd applied for the report under the Official Information Act, and RNZ choreographed the release of it quite carefully yesterday. They talked to staff at the same time they were releasing it to me under the Act. The report is very surprising in the language that it used. I think it's a lot more ferocious and fierce than many people were expecting. That was certainly the feedback that I got. But Richard Sutherland did not hold back in terms of the cultural issues within RNZ, specifically around the performance of radio. And if you step back and just take a look at the overall theme of the report, it's essentially that RNZ's done a great job with its digital website, but it's kind of been at the expense of its radio ratings and the performance of its radio. If you look at its performance, it's gone from first, only 5 years ago, first in the entire radio market, now 8th. And it's something like 200,000 listeners behind News Talk ZB, its commercial competitor. So there's real issues in there. You've mentioned some of the staffing issues this morning, and he has gone as far as to say they need to get a marquee hire, new talent, basically, for some of their shows. To try and rebuild that audience. Otherwise, it will wither away.
And the other thing that's come out of this is, which I'm always fascinated by, is the Auckland-Wellington situation. Because I used to work there in Wellington years and years ago, and that's where the majority of their staff are.
Yes.
They need to move it to Auckland, but there's still resistance to that, and the reason's interesting, isn't it?
Well, it's historically, of course, through the New Zealand Broadcasting Corporation, all those many years ago, you've got head office of RNZ in Wellington, as you quite rightly say, and most of its exec are down there. Now, they're about to move in with TVNZ in Victoria Street here in central Auckland later this year. That gives them a real opportunity to build their Auckland staffing numbers. They've been restricted in the office that they're currently in. It's a bit of a rabbit warren.
Yeah.
Richard Sutherland in his report recommends that the entire morning report team and show moves to Auckland. RNZ kind of batted that away a little bit. They're saying for various reasons they still want people in both centres. It's important, I guess, if there's a major emergency in Auckland, that they do have people elsewhere in the country. But to me, it makes sense that your flagship show would be in the biggest city.
It's always sounded like a bit of a yarn to me, that what if there's an earthquake? I mean, the only place there's probably likely to be an earthquake is Wellington.
True.
You know? True. So what is, apart from the response to the Auckland situation, what has RNZ's response been to the report?
Well, I've done a follow-up column in the Herald this morning, and I think Paul Thompson, the CEO, basically has 6 to 12 months to sort this out, to get the, and I think there are jobs on the line here, both at board and executive level. One of the biggest recommendations that RNZ has picked up is that they will hire a chief audio officer. They haven't had that in the past, and that they've seemed to have batted away a lot of the recommendations to this new role, this person who is yet to be appointed. They're going to have a hell of a job. That will be reviewing the talent, winning the staff, because at the moment, if you look at the report, they're basically saying staff from junior producers through to the exec have basically ignored radio. And so there's a massive cultural shift here, and Radio New Zealand seems to be pushing a lot of these recommendations to this new person.
Yeah. You can't ignore radio. I mean, it's in the name, literally.
Well, precisely. And I think, yes, traditional business models in journalism and media have fallen away. Particularly, we've seen that here at NZME with, absolutely. We know we have to move, and we have moved into the digital age. Look at this show. But at the same time, you've got to raise all boats as much as possible. You don't neglect important revenue generating, in the case of commercial media, places like newspapers, television. TVNZ still earns a hell of a lot of revenue through its network. Radio New Zealand, of course, is a public broadcaster, so it doesn't get advertising revenue, but we fund it as the taxpayers, and the public demands that the radio station is as good as it can be.
Absolutely, as they should. So let's move to Air New Zealand now. Uncertainty over their flight, the famous flight safety video, which is always, I'm always just...
Do you like them?
I'm always a bit gobsmacked at how much time and money they spend on them.
I was thinking about it this morning. This is going to be the 24th flight safety video, and you just wonder, have we come to the point now, and I know Emirates and Qatar, I think, they kind of make a point now saying, we don't have a fancy video, we just want to give you the safety information.
I've seen those.
Yeah, and I just wonder, in this day and age with the pressures that are on Air New Zealand, just what the benefits are. I mean, we just want the basic information, right? Sometimes that gets lost in the mix. But anyway, the story today is that they, like many others, are looking at AI. Of course, it's here. It's impacting on all businesses in one form or another, and potentially a lot of, or some savings anyway, at the post-production end of the video, looking at working with OpenAI to perhaps not necessarily getting rid of the humans or out of the equation, but certainly help AI helping them produce this latest flight safety video, which should be in market by the end of the year.
When they get AI to fly the planes, then they'll really save some money. Now, over at the opposition, journalists at Stuff are going to vote to strike. What's going on here?
Yeah, the last 3 or 4 days, Stuff journalists, there is a ballot. Those who are unionised with the E2 union, there's a ballot out at the moment. The results are due in later today. I'm told that at the moment the results show they are voting overwhelmingly in favour of industrial action. Talks are basically not quite stalled, but certainly they're at an impasse with their collective contract negotiations, mainly around Stuff has said that they're separating the collective contract into two now divisions within the company. The union doesn't like that. And of course, at the background of it all is pay. The union's gone in with an initial request of 6.5%. And
per year?
Yes, and Stuff, as I understand it, has rejected that initial request.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
Now, this is the story of the morning. Hugh Grant has high praise for the work of one New Zealand journalist.
That's right. Hugh Grant is, we all know and love from, I'm sure, Notting Hill and Love Actually and many other great UK movies. But he was at the premiere of Olivia Carville's recent documentary in London. Olivia is a well-known New Zealand journalist who's worked for the Herald, worked for Stuff. She's now at Bloomberg in the US, and has a new documentary called Can't Look Away. And that documentary has now been released in the UK. It's around social media and the dangers and the perils of social media, particularly for young people, and how the algorithms, whether it's from sextortion through to any other means, are causing real issues. And it's a devastating documentary in many respects, in that it interviews parents of kids who have taken their own lives. But Hugh Grant was at the UK premiere, pictured alongside Olivia, and on social media singing her praises and the work of the documentary.
Wow, interesting. Where can we watch it, do you know? Or?
Yeah, it's available. It is available online for a price. It's not been officially released in New Zealand, but you can get it legally, for I think it's around $8 or $9.
Okay, all right, nice one. Shayne, good to see you. Thank you very much for coming in as always. Shayne Currie, our media insider and editor-at-large at the New Zealand Herald.